Tales of the Melodically Unexpected. Notch here. One of the most powerful forces in life can be the power of music. Memories can be triggered by all sorts of situations, an item of food, a place, a person, a point in time, etc. Often the most widening and disparate of memories can be triggered by hearing a song. They won't necessarily be a favourite song. It could even be a tune you immediately hate, triggered simply by its personal significance to a moment in one's life one might want to forget or remember. The connection between a song and the complexity of the brain to revisit a long forgotten memory is intrinsically linked. I'd like to use this video to pick out a few songs that have some kind of background or story that holds some kind of consequential reason for that song's significance in my trivial little existence. The first one on this list here is Rain by The Cult. Around 1988, I was asked by a mate to tag along to go to a venue in central London called Paramount City. I think the place is now called the Windmill, where they used to host a goth alternative club night on Thursdays. The goth scene had become like a staple of clubbing up and down the UK, and this place had their own DJs there, spinning a variety of popular and alternative songs from R.E.M. to Nitzareb to The Cure to Prince. I fell in love with this experience, enjoying the sounds and meeting new, friendly, fun-loving people, the antithesis of many people's perceptions of what constitutes the whole goth persona. Being a young 19-year-old, my youthful exuberance was, of course, at its prime, and in such a pleasurable environment, it was easy to drink. The longer the night went on, the leerier things inevitably got. But was I a stalwart of the whole all-night bender at the time? My last memory of that night in that club itself was being on the dance floor and in full mosh mode to Rain by The Cult. The crowd around me became increasingly aware of my increasing inability to stand on my own 2 feet. I started getting pushed, slammed, thrown about by the more seasoned pros of the slam metal culture, and I was on the floor every 20 seconds. I was just a complete, absolute state. The next thing I remember at all was being on the top deck of the bus going home with my mates. I was sitting next to a stranger that was next to me, and my 2 mates were in the seats in front of me. Now, I'm never one to be fairly quiet when it comes to the art of hurling. Every 2 minutes, I seem to turn to this stranger next to me and say, "I'm really sorry," before engaging in very loudly. My 2 mates were just all over the place in front of me, just pissing themselves uncontrollably. And then at one point, one of my mates himself wanted to open the window in front of him, but his hand slipped and he smacked the guy in front of him. By this point, my other mate was in such fucking tears. He was almost on the floor. He laughed so much. My last memory of that night was my body crashing as I was stumbling, zigzagging across the street going home on every shop window. On the high street on the way back to the house. Yeah, Rain by The Cult. Next on the list is Aswad's huge hit with their cover of Don't Turn Around. In 1987, I spent a year working at my dad's restaurant in Kensington, a place called the Cherry Pie on Kensington Church Street, a very successful establishment, been around for a few decades, situated right next to what was the Mary Quant boutique store, which eventually became Bieber's and eventually became a chain of shops called Amazon. And the guys that run that were trying to pass off what they were selling as elite, classic Italian fashion, when what they would actually do is go to Italy, trawl the cheap markets and snap up the cheapest rubbish they could find, bring them back over here, and then sell them at exorbitant prices. Now, the main thing I remember that song always reminds me of is when the Amazon owner walked into the store to be served by me, and this song by Aswad was on the radio. It had just come out, and the owner was saying, "Oh, I love this song," and I was agreeing with him. I really, really loved it as well. But that song is the one song that holds all my recollections of that place. We used to get many luminaries of the celebrity and establishment world come in to eat in our place. We had Bono, Mel Appleby of Mel and Kim, Leonard Rossiter, the actress Wendy Craig of the sitcom Butterflies, and she was like that with my mother. And my parents are both convinced that Freddie Mercury, who used to go shopping all the time at Mary Quant and Bieber, would occasionally come in and park his arse at one of our tables to have lunch at our place. When my older brother worked there, he was a massive fan of Motorhead. Motorhead seemed to play a bit of a significant part in our lives. Lemmy used to live in a squat right opposite my mum's house in Kensal Rise, and we used to see him around occasionally. One day when I was on my way to go to a concert at the Royal Albert Hall, there's a pub down in Kensington High Street where I stopped in there with a friend for a drink, and there was Lemmy, decked up in his classic attire, by a fruit machine with a JD and Coke on the top of it, just playing the fruit machine. We were just staring at him going, wow. And one day when my brother was serving at the restaurant, Filthy Animal, the drummer, walked in, decked up in his usual garb as well. Pure leather, denim, dark glasses, big hair all over the place. Just this weird, distant, faraway look on himself, looking a little bit, And he was with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend with him went up to the counter, and she did all the talking. She said to him, can we get an ice cream, please? And my brother's head was just exploding. He was just going, you filthy animal! He took him over to the ice cream section, and she started picking out the flavours she wanted. Oh, I'll have a bit of Tutti Frutti, the mint choc chip, and hazelnut. And what are you having, love? And Filthy Animal just kept staring into space and just went, vanilla. And my brother's head continued exploding to the point where it fell off. Mental. Aswads, don't turn around. And another one is Birth, School, Work, Death by the rock band The Godfathers. Now, for some reason, this is the song I think of the most and the performance I think of the most out of all my 4 visits to Reading Festival between 89 and 92. I got to see many, many good bands like The Mission, New Order, Kitchens of Distinction, Blur, Cardiacs, Nirvana, Henry Rollins, Inspiral Carpets, Wonder Stuff, House of Love, My Bloody Valentine, The Fall, James, Mannix, De La Soul. It was just such a halcyon time to go to festivals. One day that we missed, though, was the very last day of 1992. Now, the reason for that is this. The night before, we all decided to take acid. And one of our mates, he brought a van to kip in rather than put up a tent and kip in there. We all had tents. But that night, our convoy decided to just drop tabs and just have a relaxing time, man. But it was also a night where it absolutely pissed down with rain for almost the whole night. We initially spent the night just like going around commenting on all sorts of weird and wonderful characters passing by. One looked like a ghost going past, another one looked like Virgil. Eventually, it's when it started really sheeting down, we piled back into the van and we had such a laugh. At one point, for some reason, I turned to my mate and Michael and went, Michael, remember the Reading in the Rain 4 years ago? And he just turned around and said, yeah, I do, but there's no reason to get so fucking romantic about it. We all just started falling apart. Any tiny thing would just make us completely fucking collapse into pieces. Like at one point, somebody said, Notch, you're very quiet. And then somebody else in the corner would say, yeah, he's quietly strange. Stuff like that would just have us fucking in bits. But we were so fucking off our faces that by sunrise, the rain had stopped, the sun had started coming out, and we'd laughed so much our jaws had just basically locked like this. We just couldn't stop grinning. And at one point we were just by the side of the van, sitting in about a group of 3 or 4 of us, all with these grins like this. And at the same time, my mate had decided to put on a tape of 1920s blues, really, really heavy blues, really depressing stuff almost. And we were just all there going, fuck knows what people looking, going past were thinking of us. Now, the one thing about missing that day was the headline act, Nirvana, were to play their very last ever show in the UK. So a lot of people have memories of, oh my God, I saw them last time there. And it was the last time before what happened to Kurt Cobain. But I was in such a state. I looked down and my tent was completely on the floor, completely waterlogged, including my bag, my belongings, the lot. And because we hadn't slept, it was just a case of, right, I'm groggy and I'm going home. And another mate of mine was coming up for the day with a one-day ticket, you know, really, really looking forward to spending the day with me. And I had to let him down easy and go, oh, no, wait, I am going home. I'm too fucked. So he ended up seeing Nirvana's last ever gig. I didn't. Luckily, I'd seen them the year in 1991, the year before. So there we have it, 3 songs that demonstrate that while they may not be absolute favourites, although I like them all, they're all songs with attachments to them that I'll never forget. Now, if you watch this and you have your own special memories that spring to mind via music, why not comment below and share them? It'd be good to read them. But for now, never underestimate the power of a good tune, and they can shape our lives at times more than anything else. Trust the Notchsta.